I want to address today a common shaila which became more actual lately, of giving matnos לאביונים by credit card, check, digital money, all these kind of things. If you are mekayim the mitzvah of matnos לאביונים, because the Nikida, just the Nikida, not necessarily have the money right away. You have a check, so you have to deposit in the bank. Sometimes it takes a day to clear, or even when you send money, today is a little bit more easily. Once you send, it gets right away. But Akaponim, what is the category of a check, let's say? Giving a check for a oni, Mr. Makayim the mitzvah or not? I came to think about this question because I had a shaila about 4 weeks ago. An interesting shaila. Shaila is a lady calls me that she got from her grandfather a check. Grandfather gave her a check 3 years ago for $200. She lost the check. And she found it now. But the problem is, as in the meantime, her grandfather passed away. So she wanted to know if Lamaisa, since she didn't get the money, she didn't deposit the money, is the money hers? That means she could go back to the Yorshim and ask, give me the $200, or no? He gave it, since I didn't take it, in the meantime he passed away, basically she lost the money. So basically that was the shaila which I had, and then I delved in a little bit in this subject, what is a check? And it's very stark nagaya also in matnos לאביונים, and then I saw that the same achronim which talk on the concept of a check speaks regarding matnos לאביונים also. So just first, to bring the question a little bit more to understand is that the Gemara says, the Mishnah says that they used to lane the Megillah, Yud Aleph, Megillah Nikras, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel. The people who used to live in the Dörflech, in the towns, they couldn't come in. They could come and lane the Megillah, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel. That was the minik. But Bismanenu, it's not only Bismanenu, even the time of the Rishonim, the Rishonim paskin that you cannot lane the Megillah before Yud Dalet and Tezvov. As the Rif paskins that you cannot lane only Bisman, Yud Dalet Tezvov, and he says like this, quote, Hoyel va'aynayim shalaniyim nasiz mikra Megillah. Since the eyes of the poor people look forward of laning the Megillah, so therefore, because we want to get matnos לאביונים, so therefore, you don't lane before. What does that mean? Why? So the Balamur on the spot explains the Rif. What does it mean? He brings down B'Shem Rabbeinu Ephraim. B'zman hazeh, that Klal Yisrael are suffering from poverty. If you are going to give the matnos לאביונים, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, the time when they lay in the Megillah, what is going to happen? They're going to use up the money. By the time it comes Purim, they won't have the money already. They need it for bread, the milk, for Yud Aleph, Yud Beis. So therefore, if you're going to give it earlier, you're not going to have money. In Purim, you're not going to have money. Now, we're going to say, you can do lay in the Megillah, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, but give the matnos לאביונים only later. Give it later. So, zukt of them the Balamor, this is also not good. Because the Aniyam will wait, Yud Aleph, they heard the lay in the Megillah, they'll wait till she gives them the money. And basically, they wait, nobody gives them. Yud Beis, nobody gives them. So they're going to be mayaj themselves and leave. So basically, hat man nicht umgegeben, kann matnos לאביונים. So therefore, it's battle from the people who come into town, Yud Aleph Beis, all the aniyim will leave already, so they won't have basically to give matnos לאביונים. So therefore, I hat man masaken gewähnt that you cannot give matnos לאביונים only Yud Dalet Tezvov, only the time which is actual Purim. That means Yud Dalet for most of the world, and Tezvov for the Kruch Ben Krach, only then you should give the money. And this is what is quoted, this Balamor is quoted in Avrom, Simon Tufrash Tzadik Dalet, Sifkud Aleph. He quotes like this, Kosef Bamor, The loyitan lehem koidim purim. You should not give matunas avionim before Purim. Dilma ochrali koidim Purim. They might use it before Purim, but the time it comes Purim, they have no money, and that means we need the matunas avionim is made that you should have sudas Purim. That's the only kiddah. In order you should have what is the Indian? The Indian is basically that it is you should have sudas Purim. So therefore, among Avrom Paskins, like the Bolamor, you cannot give beforehand. Now the Marsham, the famous Marsham Gudel, he was booking Kol HaTorah Kila Bechlal, and he writes, I don't understand. In his Agos of Shechanoich, he writes, I don't understand of the Mung Avrom. There's a Beferish Rambam, which the Rambam writes in Perish Mishnayos. Also, Tosis Yonta brings it down in Megillah. He says clearly that from Yid Aleph, you could give Matunas Avionim as Yoitza. Dafke Mishloich Munas, you cannot give earlier. But when it comes to Matunas Avionim, you could give it even Yid Aleph, Yid Beis, Yid Gimel. And the quote, the Lushan Aramam is, Afapisha Omri, although we said Magdimim, V'loi Ma'achrim, that you Magdam, Megillah, Krisa Megillah, before Purim, that means Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, V'loi Ma'achrim, you don't push it off, that means you can't lay in the Megillah, Tez Zayin, Yud Ches, Yud Zayin, Ches. Afa began these days, which they lay in the Megillah, Mitorim, Behesped, Ibetanas. It's mutter that you should fast, it was mutter, because Purim you cannot fast, you cannot make a Hesped. But if it's Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, although they lay in the Megillah, it's mutter to make a hesped and tainus in Mitunas Lavioinim. So the Rambam clear, you could give Mitunas Lavioinim. So B'mayla, therefore, he asks, why do you pass like this? But Sofkel Sov, Lamasa, the Achroinim took upon Amunganim and Alocha that you can. The Pri Megudam, he says that Pri Megudam and over there, and the Mungavrum, it says, Benoisif Sidach Shash, which we have, which the Mungavrum writes, that basically we are afraid that they're going to use the Matunas of Yoinim beforehand. He says there's another thing. Why do you have to say it like this? Since in the Pasuk says Matunas of Yoinim, Mishloach Munas Matunas of Yoinim is one Pasuk. Mishloach Munas Matunas of Yoinim, the same Pasuk in Megillah. Now if you say by Mishloach Munas you cannot give it before, you cannot give it. It's a Pasuk. You learn from the Pasuk, you cannot give it before. So therefore, Matunas of Yoinim, forget about that, they're going to eat it. Let's assume that they're going to save it. However, we can, it's not a problem because you have to give it in Purim. This is what the Pri Megudim writes, and this is what the Guru also over there writes, Beferish, that you cannot give Mishloach Munas for Purim because it says Yemai Mishte v'Simcha Mishloach Munas Ishla Dehai Matunas of Yoinim v'Koa Hakula. It goes on all things that Mishnah. The Simcha cannot be beforehand, Matunas of Yoinim cannot be beforehand, and Mishloach Munas cannot be beforehand, and this is how the Guru paskins. And so for the other poskim, the Urchashilchen writes clear, v'chayiv litten dafke b'purim atzmai, avokoidim purim, afilin nuz mefirish apinim. Even if he gave the money, he said, don't keep it all the way till after Purim. After Bekan, you cannot give it because it's choyves hayom. It's not like Pidin Aban says that you cannot be poid Aban within the 30 days. So but the Achronim right, the Shechanoch says that if you have it, and you say don't use it till after when it becomes 31st, until the first day, that's fine. Still, if you have the money. Over here, no, the Nesina has to be on Purim, and therefore this is how the Urchashilchen and all a bunch of other Achroinim pass. And it's interesting that the Chivas Van Hugis, this Ramoshe Sternbach, he was, before he went to Yerushalayim, he was the rabbi of Johannesburg. So it says in Johannesburg there wasn't too much poor people. Looks like it was a wealthy time. That time when the white ruled, then the Jews had a lot of money, and there wasn't too much of a Avionim. So he had a question. The Olim asked him, "What do we do with Purim?" So they wanted to send it to Yerushalayim. Over there, Yerushalayim, Yidden haben alle Deures gehabt, Urmalat, it's noch Tzeduk. And he goes through the whole thing and he says this is impossible because he says, when are you going to give it? You're going to give it. Now Purim is going to come for them after Purim. Even if you're going to give it before, today, it's going to come in Yerushalayim the second day. But that means Tezvov, and by them it's Purim. But by you it's not Purim. So therefore, also he says, no, look around, make sure you have some kind of avian, and you cannot give it for the Shalayim. Al Kapurim, this is what. You got to knows about it because it becomes also avian. Yeah, you're right.
If I give a Rav as a shliach to give him Purim for me, that's not counted?
Yeah, what do you mean? Beforehand?
I give the Rav before Purim as a shliach.
This is the question. Well,
are you allowed to do that or not?
the technical is how they do it. By the way, how they do it, and we're going to get also when it comes to the how they do it. Lamais behind the other kippus sedukas is I give it for them, and the roof or the kippus seduka, kippus eir, however the kippus ezra, whatever every town has his kippus seduka, they give for Roman, and then as koina they give it b'shlichus for yenem am Purim. That means that it's kini makna for the mashalayach before Purim. So therefore,
why wouldn't that help for that South African community? They send it to Yerushalayim.
Yeah. Okay, then it wasn't. No, then today the kippus tzeduk is a established machine money, money machine. But then every person individually wanted to send to a psakos and those, and that was a problem. Well, Lamas came to Sun Tzai. This is game far Pirim. Came to do is the Rabunim, Ravosna mit Rav Shlomo Zalman mit der Yashim weggestellt. The kippus, wenn sie gewonnen kippus eir, hat man weggestellt that Purim. This is how they do, and this is how they do. By the way, also with credit cards. That means even I go into a credit card, I give them the money. Let's say $100. So they have cash. They give it for Orman b'shlichus to the guy who gave me with the credit card. So my mind to avoid this problem. So but first I wanted to become. What?
Is that for me? It's not put him because they're getting it on the above. It's not a problem.
They're giving it by that person. So the avad is they find Yudalit is good. No, if they get it for Purim, no, you have to give it Purim. Again, we have to get this on the kidda. That's why I made this akduma. The concept is that they should have Purim. By their Purim, they should have a Suda. Now, if they get it Tezvuv, it's a problem. Yeah, but then you can't give them.
So if I go to the Kubat Tzedok, which is doing it, and they're giving it to Yerushalayim as well, how does it help now?
No. If you are a Ben Ir, you give it to Yidalet, they will give it in Bnei Barak, which is Ben Yidalet. Avadi, they're not giving Yerushalayim.
To Yerushalayim, I can't do it.
No, you can't do it in Yerushalayim. Exactly. You can't do it in Yerushalayim. Exactly. In the Shlomo Zalman writes in Licha Shlomo, as Ben Krach should give for Ben Krach, and Ben Ir should give Ben Ir, and Ben Krach cannot give Ben Ir, Ben Ir cannot give Ben. Exactly what he says.
The problem was that was Yidalet as well.
The problem was there was no aniyam. So people wanted to send to Eretz Yisrael. They wanted to send to Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is a different day also. So Hamza got two problems.
So it doesn't make a difference when they're case. You said, so why didn't you do it in Kahana's? The reason is it wouldn't help. Different day.
Fine, Hamza is can't come an Ibrak. Yeah. They don't give no problem until it comes.
The same thing is really Achtus, but
When you do here 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's already night. So that
You give it that it's already night. So that means you give it for Tezvov. That's not good. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
the same thing is like the
If you give it for Yerushalayim, usually everybody should give on his Aniyah Irchu.
The Achtus baskets is the same thing. People are
Achtus
giving
baskets is a Matunas of Yoin, is a B'shloich Munas. It's a little
it's a
different.
different day.
Yeah.
You're talking about
Matunas of Yoin. But by the way, the Hantik Achroim write that, Sinishas Aggressive Shalabiks, usually you have your own in a place. Usually, we get Tzedukis Baruch Hashem Pirim all day. So you could give all over. And two people you're going to find just in give for your there's no case give for the Shleim wie von der Welt. Aber akapunam the kids were which gemacht that do in order to see that we see that the Chroinim had a big problem of giving it. Not everybody. There are some which will say it's not a problem to give before. It should come on that. But that's machen alle tricks. So so halten. Aber akapunam we see a lot of Chroinim which say that basically it has to be that they should be able to use Am Purim. So therefore now comes the question: if I give a check for a uni, habe ich heute gewähnt because he doesn't get money. He gets the check. Basically, what is a check? Bepashtas. A check means I have money in my bank account. Go to the bank. It's basically giving a star for this person. It says go to the bank and pick up from my account X, Y, and Z money. $10, $15, whatever it is.
You need more
So basically, is this azach? What is the category of basically of a check? Is it bapashtas? I would say it's a problem because again, he cannot use it, so to speak. Now,
and what if it's Sunday and the bank's
this is exactly what we have. The Chronim going into Mamshik this Nakida.
Zell would be good, right? If you give Zell.
Now, Zell is very easy. Zell is good. We'll see why. Akaponam. So that's the question. So the question goes on two things. First of all, giving a check, b'chlal. Second of all, giving a check at the bank is closed. Third of all, giving a head check. What is the for a head check?
Post-dated.
Giving post-dated. Does it make a difference when it was post-dated? All these things, the Achronim have a shmis in it, and we'll go through. The Pshoim Zalman comes in a zukt, basically, yoitzin b'matunas laavionim, when giving a check. There's no difference if the Zman Piruan is before Purim, in Purim, or after Purim. What does it mean? I want to just hear what does it mean. Because Rav Osner makes a chilik. Rav Osner says that basically you could give, if you give a check which is not post-dated, give a check which is you could now go and take it out from the bank. It's not only, let's say, a day after Purim. Zuk Rav Osner, that's fine. But when it comes a post-dated check, it is a problem because of the moment you cannot go to the bank and take it out, and therefore it is a problem, and you cannot give matunas yonim on a post-dated check. Keep the Shlomo Zalman. Shlomo Zalman writes, it's not a difference of a post-dated check. It's not a difference. It's an actual check or it's a post-dated check, and it's no different if the bank is opened. And if it's not, if it's a Sunday or not, Shlomo Zalman goes all the way. He says, since a person has a check, especially in Etzisrol, in this over here, this what he says now is also good, basically, at least in Williamsburg Borough, Pagmonsi, and I don't know, in Kingston, whatever. No, not because of all I'm saying. It says, since a check is geworden Muman, if I have a check, I can give it for a friend, he's going to accept it as payment. If I have a check, I need cash, I'll go to my friend and says, over here you have a $50 check, do me a favor, give me this bederech klal. Says, people are giving checks, einen zum zweiten, zweiten zum dritten, sie geworden Kesef, in der halt, der Shlomo Zalman suchen, Eliashiv auch in selber sagt, checks geworden Kesef. But mile over there, I don't care, post there, not post there. If I have the option that I could go to my chavat, I could go to a friend, I could go to a gemach and give him the check and get cash of it, Heisus, I got cash, in my mile, I could be yoitze the mitzvah of matunas l'aavionim because I could buy, the bank is vermacht, I have a friend which goes, and that's fine. Again, this is Shlomo Zalman's shita, and this is what he paskins. Again, Rav Osner says no. He says it depends when the date is. If the date is postmarked, then you're not mekayim, as you said, you're mekayim mitzvah tzedukah, which ich verstehe nicht pinklich favus, but it's not mekayim the mitzvah of matunas l'aavionim because you cannot use it. Let me make just a stop. So, according to going back to the shayla which I had, somebody got a check from the Zayda, and the Zayda passed away. So, according to the Shlomo Zalman, according to Eliashiv, goes also with the same thing. A check is muman, and therefore it's not a problem. She got already the check, but B'shaz when Zayda gave him the money. So therefore it's 100% hers, and she could go to the Yarshim and say, I'm sorry, I found the check, give me the $200, it's my $200, your grandfather gave it to me, give me the money. According to Rav Osner, it will depends. If it was a post-dated check, and he passed away before the date was actual, that means he gave him a check for 3 weeks, and after 2 weeks the grandfather passed away. So b'shas chalois ha-peruan in ishdukan it's rashek chalois ha-peruan. So now when it's nicht chalois ha-peruan, it's in his battle geworden the ganze checks, in his battle geworden the ganze nishdugunish. So according to Rav Osner, if the grandfather give a check and the date was after he passed away, she has no tainus and she cannot go back to the Yorshim. If it is before, that means he gave him right away, the date is right away, that's not a problem. Again, the same Rav Osner, which says by matunas l'aavionim, the difference between it's a post-dated check, which is made chilik, he makes, those keeping the zelba chilik goes by every check, and that will be the psak. According to the Shlomo Zalman and Rav Eliashiv, a check has a ramal toikev, no different date, ahead, date, ahin, and it is basically okay. Now, Rav Osner goes a step further, and he asks, good, it is a date which is basically before Purim. But what it is if you don't have money in the bank? You don't have money. I give him a check for $50. Happens to be it's empty. The check account is empty. So that if he has credit, a lot of banks give you, let's say, till $1,000, till $1,500, they give you overdraft protection. So therefore, since that's fine, it's not fine. Because as long as you could go to the bank and you could you could get out the money, the size the host the then it's not a problem. If you don't have overdraft protection, and then there is a problem. But the only thing is like this. The question is, this what we say that you could make, it becomes money, you could give it for a friend checks. That's, if it doesn't say for deposit, you don't say a name, and it says for deposit only. When you give it for that person, and only he has to deposit the check, and you cannot, according to other. Now, if you live in Williamsburg, Borough Park, Monsey, it's not a problem. I'm telling you. It's not only till last year Chase started making problems. Other than that, it was no problem. Third-party checks was a normal thing, and it was deposited in your bank account, and everything was fine. Last year, maybe a year and a half, Chase is the biggest bank, and they started making very, very looking on it. And that made a little problem. The only thing is when you put it in with the ATM or with the phone, that's still easy. You can still it can still go through. But Hakapunim, and at Israel, it's still you can still go it. You can still go. But what is in that case? Dort you should do more achronim as we want to say it's a problem because of course if the bank is closed and it's only he has to deposit it, he has no shaykhs the money. So that's a bit interesting, and do halt asachas in such a case. If the bank is closed, it's only for me, and there's no reason. Nobody will give me cash instead because they cannot do anything with it. Over here in Kingston, I give a check which made out to my name. Nobody's going to take it. So therefore, the bank is closed. Cannot go to the bank. So it's interesting that somebody published a ksav yad in one of the koiftzam of Rav Yosef, which he writes, but they asked him this question. It says he's yoytza, which we have to understand why. So he has an enikel. He has an enikel which is called the Vade Yosef Telidano. He's a carbon copy of his grandfather, with his yediyas, with his bekiyas, with his amkas. He's very deep. He has shivas for him. He gave out last year a sefer on Mechiras Chumatz, a home run, half of a failure. All the immunim, the kinyunim. He's a big lam, but he's also a big boki as a zayder. And he writes, I think that, or I don't understand my zaydis psak. And when you have this kind of paper like which somebody asks and you answer, it doesn't mean too much. He says, in such a case, I don't see any way how you could be paskin that if the bank is closed, it says only he could deposit it, and there's no way he could get money. How could it be? And nobody will take it. How could it be a yoytza of Matnas Yoyni, because he doesn't have money. Basically, he doesn't have money basically to use. So let's just sum up like this: if you give a check for someone else, and it has no name, and it has the date is already the date which is today, then according to and you give it Purim, that means the bank is open Purim, and you give it on Purim. There's no issue at all to give a check for someone else, because he can have right away the money. If it is post-dated, according to Rav Shlomo Zalman, according to Rav Eliashiv, it's not a problem. According to Rav Ozer, it's a problem because you cannot have the money. If the bank is closed, again, the same thing as we mentioned before. If it is a check which has no name, then people will take it. If it's a place where people will take it, then that's muman. It's considered muman. And this is, by the way, how we paskin a check today's days considered muman. At least if it doesn't have a name, or it's a name which says cash, which people will take. People will change it for you, and that's considered muman. So Hashem muman, nicht Hashem choiv, and therefore sign the muntunas of yoyim. If you give it up Purim, it's fine. Sign the case which I had, which the grandfather gave a check. They had money but she lost it. She is entitled for this money, and she could go back to Yoshim and get it. When it comes to all other kind of things, digital money, credit card money, that's already an issue, let's say, because credit card, if I give a credit card on Purim, he's not going to have it availability in his bank. It's not going to have availability in the bank. It takes a few days till he gets it. So automatically, that's not considered giving. Giving in beforehand, we're going into the problem which we mentioned before, of giving money beforehand, and it comes into that. We could say that basically, why? Because the Messina was not on the Tunis of Yoinim. So over here, on this case, which is very popular to give today's day credit card, especially today's date, nowadays, not so much in Israel, but in America, which the government are worked very hard to get rid of all the cash, because they want to have control of every dollar which you use and spend, So basically, it gets more and more tighter. All this, that's why Chase also made all these restrictions. Everything is the government. So therefore, they want everybody should be credit cards, because again, the easiest way. I spoke with one of the guys who work in the with the government on the social programs. And once he told me the way how they catch people who have food stamps, very easy. They see how much they spend on credit cards. They gave in, they're making $1,000 a month, and you spend $3,000 a month because they use credit cards. And saying, I lent, I borrowed, it doesn't work like that. There's a git in mikveh. When the kratztige mikveh, when the zooks for the IRS, I'm going to answer for the government. That's very good there. When it comes to Lamaisa, they ask for 1 second. The last 5 months, you gave out $3,000, and you claim you make $1,000. How did you make? So basically, the government tries to. You should have in mind, by the way, these things. Akapunam, the government wants to close. So automatically, everything goes on credit cards, and everything goes on Zeli. Now, Zeli is the best thing. Because when I send a Zeli on Purim, it's in his bank right away. Now again, this is auch du ma'arram of the ochet. The outer ma'arram will say that since the bank gives you a credit, then you can take it out. But it's nicht b'shad hostaki b'kima geld. But again, so far we don't need to go because Ms. Michael by checks avada Michael Zeli. So Zeli, I would say, is no issue. When it comes to credit cards, that's already a problem because again, it doesn't come right away. So therefore, the Matthias is the alle kippers look made, and this is how they do it actually. This is kippers Ezra, Monsi, and all the other tzedukas in the Tisrol kippers all these things. They get credit cards constantly all the day. And they get credit cards 5 minutes before the Shkia. People on the mountains, so they give, but they already give for Aniyam, Yesh Breire, but the Rabun and Yesh Breire. So they give for the Aniyam money, and it will be on the cheshbon of the people who's going to give me during the day credit cards, and it should be theirs, so they're giving you the cash, and as we get this is how because all these issues of the Nikida, it should be like that. So over here, if somebody takes the Matunas of Yoinam and gives out Matunas of Yoinam through credit card, it's kedai to do the same thing. Give for the money right away, and have in mind that basically I'm giving the money for all the people who will give me Zeli, or are going to give me credit cards, or going to give me what is it called, the other, the cash, no, the big ones, which cost $80,000 a coin. Bitcoin. This probably people have Bitcoins, so anybody who give me Bitcoins, you should be able to. That should be from Maturas of Yoinam, and I am the what? Again, it goes with the same thing. It's just in the money. I think it's a hoax. But again, Akaponim, so that should be the easiest way. So again, if you give you a check, which basically the check it has no date, has no name, which in a place where people will take it very easy, that's fine. If it's a place which people will not take it again, then it goes into a problem.